Warning, this is a mystery/adventure game with light horror themes that may be upsetting to some readers. This game contains use of flashing image effects. Reader discretion is advised. We're playing Casey's Very Bad Day by Heart Punch. This is a choose-your-own adventure type of game. It's a visual novel about Casey who wakes up in an unknown house and has to figure out a way to escape or just die trying. Now we'll click start. You roll over and burrow comfortably into the duvet, relishing the warm feeling of the Saturday morning sunlight on your face. You could swear that today your bed feels even comfier than usual. It's the weekend. That means that for 2 whole blissful days, there'll be no more Katie the female dog from hell and her cronies. No more Mrs. Gordon. No more getting started with algebra. Just 2 whole days of sweet, sweet freedom. School days are the best days of your life, right? Yeah, right, you snort. Anything is better than being stuck in that hellhole, fighting to stay awake with all the strength you have, straining to even keep your eyes open. Staring at the clock hanging on the wall and feeling your brain slowly melt into mush. Tick, 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 zzz. Guess I should really be thinking about getting up. Say it aloud to no one in particular, trying to will yourself out of the soft cocoon of bed and into the cruel spring air. After all, you have a busy day today. A busy day of Saturday morning TV, video games, and junk food. Not forgetting, of course, hanging out at Beth's house later. If only you didn't have to look after your little sister and her bratty friends first. Lame. Whatever, the usual babysitting strategy will suffice. Load them up on caffeine and sugar and barricade yourself upstairs in your bedroom to rack up your phone bill. So I don't know if this is just like me being in America, or is it me, or do most people just have unlimited phone and text nowadays? It's kind of weird in my opinion, because I don't like texting people, and yet people keep insisting on texting, and it's just like, dang it. Why can't you people just use, Discord? I don't want to text people on phone. I never check my phone anyways. I only use it to play gacha games. When you finally flutter your eyes open for real this time, it takes a moment for your sleep-addled brain to notice that anything is wrong. The ceiling is just the same tasteful off-white matte with garden variety hanging pendant light vaguely positioned in the center. When you roll over though, you realize that something feels off, although you can't put your finger on exactly what. Everything seems sort of hazy. It looks like a standard bedroom should look, a little untidy, but not overly so, with an assortment of posters scattered across the 4 walls bearing smiling celebrities and cartoon mascots. Now, for me, I am so incredibly basic that I don't even have posters on my wall. And I kind of just don't. Well, actually, no, I do have like 2 posters, but that was like a long time ago, and I don't know why I even put them up. Not even related to anything, I don't even like them, I just put them up because I was bored. But like everywhere else, I don't really actually have posters that represent things I like. In fact, I barely get merch of things I like. Why? Is it to save money? I'm not sure. I just don't, actually. I should probably actually do that. I use default backgrounds on everything I own. There's a conveniently small wooden nightstand on your right beside the bed, with opposable daisy desk lamps sitting on top, next to a glass of water and a folded up copy of That's Crush. A large but non-imposing metal bookshelf stands against the wall opposite the end of the bed, full of aggressively grown-up, gritty, mature crime fiction titles that only a preteen wanted to show off would own. I feel like metal bookshelves are a little bit of a danger, considering that, bookshelves that aren't secured to anything are liable to falling down, and that's actually the reason why you should secure them, because oftentimes if you have a bookshelf and some kind of natural disaster hits, you're probably gonna die. I'm just gonna say that. You should secure your bookshelves, everybody. Maybe that's just me living in California though. There's a standard-looking airing cupboard in the far corner and a soft-looking lilac dressing gown hanging on the back of the door. Scanning the room, you feel a vague sense of unease. It feels like it could be. It should be your bedroom, but is it? If this is your room, why doesn't it feel like home? It feels familiar as you cast your eyes across each wall, like a bedroom of a beloved, frequently watched movie or TV show. Somehow though, at the same time, when you focus your eyes on any one single object, it almost seems to blur and shift flatly in front of you, like staring at a magic eye puzzle too long, and watching it turn back into a pattern on the page. I don't know. Do people actually do people actually look at magic eye puzzles? Because I've seen them. I've never gotten them to work. I can't tell if it's because I secretly need glasses, even though I'm pretty sure I don't, or if they're just too magical for me. As if whoever is causing this illusion doesn't quite understand the details well enough to produce something wholly authentic and is glossing over simple details and just hoping that no one will look closely enough at anything to notice. You pull down the duvet and slide out of bed, slipping your feet into a pair of fluffy pig slippers you assume are yours. The carpet feels strange and sort of warm, almost organic under your slippered feet. You crouch down and gingerly prod the soft pile. It feels like a normal carpet, but when you lift your finger away, it leaves a greasy sheen on your skin. Gross. Don't want to touch that again in a hurry. Something is definitely not normal here. Just as you stand back up, a folded sheet of paper on the desk in the corner catches your eye. Better check that out, you think, and walk over to the other side of the room. When you pick up the note, you find it blank, except for a short paragraph scrawled messily in the center of the page. Mama's coming. When the clock strikes 9, you'll know what to do. Go through the door and we can go home. What? What could this mean? It kinda reminds me of House, where you had the time limit until your father came home. Mama's coming? Who is Mama anyway? The word sounds familiar to you somehow, but for some reason you're drawing a total blank. What does it mean you'll know what to do? You don't understand. This whole thing seems like some kind of crazy dream or one of those camp horror novels that you're definitely too old for, but secretly still love anyway. You decide to head on downstairs or at least check out the rest of the house, but when you pad over to the door and try the handle, you find it locked. Strange. Normally you'd assume it was Robbie playing a dumb prank or a run-of-the-mill problem with the lock and just shrug and call on your mother, but today feels different. Somehow you know that for whatever reason, something is trying to keep you here, and you know that you have to make yourself scarce before you find out just what that reason actually is. The window that opens out onto the roof below looks like it opens fairly wide, so you're pretty sure that you could climb out. But on the other hand, it would be pretty dangerous. Not to mention, at least if you stay inside, you know that it feels relatively safe in here, whereas there could be anything outside waiting for you. You can also make out the sound of an air vent from inside the airing closet. You remember all those spy movies you used to watch as a kid, where the resourceful and clever hero would outsmart the blundering villain by crawling unseen through the ventilation system to safety. Then again, that also sounds pretty dangerous. You have no idea if something like that would even work in real life, much less if you have the physical strength to pull it off. Actually, come to think of it, neither of those options sound safer than just staying put and waiting it out here. At least this place feels like a comfortable bedroom, and you're almost positive that the weird feelings this place is giving you are all just in your mind. Maybe it would be a better idea to just curl back up in that warm bed and see if you feel better after some more rest, or at least wait it out for a while to see if maybe things start to feel more normal. You decide to climb out of the window. The worst choice first. I actually really hate heights. I'm gonna admit that. It's my greatest weakness. I get nervous. You take a deep breath and yank open the bedroom window. Taking the cold morning air into your lungs, you look down. Doesn't seem too bad, you think. Ugh. You've never been particularly frightened of heights, but climbing out of the window of a second-story room would be enough to put fear in anyone. Gulp. Well then, I guess it's time to do it. You say it aloud to the one in particular, again. Steeling yourself, you turn the face away from the window and lift one leg back. You follow it with the other, inching out of the window bit by bit until your lower body is fully outside. You grip the window ledge tightly and start to lower yourself down until you can barely feel the slanted roof beneath your feet and then let go of the ledge. Whew, that wasn't so awful, you lie to yourself. Thunk! You feel some of the thin tiles crack and slip away under your feet, clearly not designed to take the weight of a person. For a short, horrible moment, you lose your balance and are filled with terror as you envision your body flopping limply, like a rag doll down the roof, and hitting the concrete far below with a thick, sickening, fleshy smack. I think that's bolding, but I can't really tell, honestly. This font is kind of not the best for emphasis on anything, really. You desperately flail your arms and stick out your chest in hopes of regaining your center of gravity. Fortunately, you fall forwards onto the slope of the roof, smacking your chin and ego on the tiles, but otherwise coming away unharmed. After taking a moment to recover and get your breath back, you consider your situation. Okay, fine, this was a terrible idea. That was terrifying and you already regret it. Even so, you're glad to be out of that weird wrong room. You shudder. Just breathing the cool air outside is already starting to calm you down. You swivel around and take in your surroundings, even though it looks like we're still inside the room. Finally, scene change. You landed on a wide, slanted stretch of roof below the bedroom window, about halfway between the bottom of the roof and the peak. Looking up, you can see that on the roof just before the peak, there's a black, shiny rectangle. A window? Upon closer inspection, you discover that the black rectangle looks to be a window for some kind of attic or boiler room, open just a crack to let out steam. Maybe the power supply for the house is in there? Whatever this house is, it's still a house, so naturally it must need power, right? I feel like, since how the carpet earlier was organic, maybe this house is just completely organic. And instead of, a boiler, there's just a whole beating heart in there. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Maybe if you can find some way to cut off the power supply, you'd be able to outsmart whoever is running this place and try to escape. The window is short and wide and looks more than big enough for you to slip through easily. Plus, any strategy that doesn't involve leaping out of bedroom windows and potentially falling to your doom is more than welcome news in your book. Even if the attic-looking window is kind of creepy, at least it doesn't involve risking ending up splatted like a bug on the concrete garden path below. Then again, come to think of it, since you already fell a fair distance, maybe it wouldn't be so far to travel for you to make your way from here down to the porch roof. You can see the top of a drain pipe affixed to the corner of the roof you're currently sat on from the gutters. It looks pretty sturdy and you would guess that it continues down to the gutters on top of the porch roof. You could probably use it to climb the short distance down to the smaller porch roof and from there easily jump down to the ground or perhaps gain access to some of the other rooms on the first floor of the house. You realize that you'd better decide quickly anyway. This roof doesn't seem like the steadiest place to sit, and besides, the sooner you could find a way out of this nightmare, the better. Timidly, you push yourself up onto your feet and... Now, like I said, since earlier there was that organic aspect to it, I'm gonna assume that... I'm just gonna say this. I feel like we're gonna realize that maybe the drain pipe is a little more slippery than we assume, but who knows? I think this is the worst option here, and so I'm clicking on it. You decide to grab onto the drain at the edge of the house and shimmy down it onto the roof of the porch. You really don't want to risk trying the attic, and after the leap of faith you just took out the bedroom window, the small drop seems like a piece of cake. You cast your eyes over the garden beneath. It looks pretty ordinary, a wide, soft-looking mossy lawn with a few shrubs scattered here and there, with a few seasonal flowers ranged tastefully at the edges. You don't recognize it as home exactly, but it looks like it could be somebody's home. Well, you think you've pretty much begun to accept that whatever is going on here is definitely not home. From your vantage point on top of the roof, you see that the house seems to be surrounded by grassy fields in all directions, except for one slightly neglected looking country road winding out to the north at the back of the house. Going through the fields is definitely not an option. You already have a pretty poor sense of direction as it is, and you know that trying to make your way through the tall grasses will only result in getting lost. To be honest, I'd say this kind of reminds me of my dreams, where there's always some non-Euclidean geometry involved. Everything seems a lot more vast. You feel like you're in your house and everything, but you look at the backyard and it just goes and stretches on for God knows how long. Or you're like going to a park and it stretches on for God knows how long. There's just some kind of weird distortion when it comes to distance and dreams. This is definitely not the sort of place you want to risk getting lost in. If you want to try running away from the house, realistically the country road would be your only option. You're certain that if you keep running far enough, that you'll run into someone that can help. Even just a bus stop would be enough, just something or someone that could take you far away from this place. As a general rule, getting very far away from weird and scary places as fast as possible is always a good thing, you think. On the other hand, who knows what else awaits you in this alien place? Like aliens. You don't want to get kidnapped by aliens. If this house alone is bad enough, what's to say that that abandoned-looking, creepy country road wouldn't be even worse? You shudder to imagine walking along that road at night for God knows how long until potentially maybe finding civilization. Or something much worse. You can see the open window of the house's master bedroom from here, and it would be pretty easy to just climb across and sneak inside. Maybe whoever Mama is, that could be her base of operations. Sneaking in there during the daytime when she is presumably not asleep could be a way to gather some clues and find some information about what's even going on here. Besides, no matter what happens, you reason there's nothing stopping you from coming back out and booking it down the path if it does turn out to be a dud idea. Either way, you'd better think quickly. I really doubt there's gonna be like a time limit. After the roof incident, the sooner you can feel some firm, flat surface under your tennis shoes, the better. You decide to... Country roads, take me home. You decide that getting away from this place as fast as possible is the only sane option. It really isn't. Go back inside after that? That would be crazy. No, making your way down onto the porch and heading for the hills is clearly the only realistic choice. So yeah, like I was saying, I have like dreams of going to park. Like I have a local park nearby that's just has a really big hill. And so I had a dream one time where the sense of perception warped and it was just gigantic freaking rolling hills. I was just stuck running down those. It was kind of scary, and I woke up and it was just like, holy shoot, that was scary. Surely before you're long, you'll run into some sign of civilization. Perhaps some nice, friendly older couple shocked to see an exhausted-looking kid running alone in the middle of nowhere who will invite you in for warm milk and freshly baked cookies before calling your parents and sending you safely home. Or they might eat us because they're cannibals and they live in the middle of nowhere because they're cannibals and they eat any passerby that comes because that's how you should just not trust old people in the woods. Come on, man. Okay, that's pretty unlikely. Still, you'd settle for a hovel. I think that's how you pronounce that, right? I don't know what that is. I've never heard of this word. Full of mountain witches, if it meant they'd call you a taxi and give you some directions. Or alternatively, they could take us in and we could become, you know, magical ourselves. Whatever, let's just get out of here. You carefully make your way over towards the edge of the porch roof before rolling over onto your tummy. Satisfied with this, you keep up the pace, lowering your legs off the roof. 2 offs. Until you can wrap your knees around the porch's wooden support pillar and shimmy down on it. Did you know that apparently, according to brain games, that if you put 2 does, like one at the end of a sentence and one at the end of one part of the sentence and one at the beginning of part of the sentence, people won't notice? I think that's probably what happened with those ofs. You breathe a sigh of relief when your feet hit the ground. Even landing in a prickly bush and probably acquiring several dozen splinters coming along for the ride didn't faze you one bit. Phew. Couldn't pay me to go back in that place. You relax for a moment and catch your breath. Why do we look so panicked though? You're just about getting to trying to remember which way the path is so that you can start running in that direction when a sharp rattling sound behind the front door just meters away from you grabs your attention and jolts you back to reality. It sounds like someone or something is trying to get out. Shoot. Reasonable to assume that it probably heard you running around and making a racket knocking off the floor tiles and realized you were making a break for it. No time to look for the path. Run! You spin around and immediately take off, sprinting in the opposite direction, trying to put as much distance between the ominously rattling door and yourself as possible. You reach the end of the garden quickly and vault over the fence into the cornfield. At least when whatever is making that sound does manage to break out, you'll be well hidden, surrounded by all these tall stalks. You decide that the best course of action for the time being is for you to just keep running in the opposite direction from the house to get as far away as possible. Eventually there has to be some sort of road or maybe a farmhouse, right? You assure yourself that there's no possible way the cornfields could go on forever. And then they did. They couldn't, right? It's only a matter of time before you run into some nice farm hand out tending his crops who knows the area well and can help you out. Yeah, no. You start to turn to take a last brief look at the house, but decide to spin right back around and get moving quick, sharp, when you're almost positive you can hear the sound of footsteps rapidly approaching from in front of you in the direction of the house. You push some stalks aside, taking care not to break any, and step through the gap in between. You're pleasantly surprised with how easily the stalks bend for your ministrations and continue moving with the strategy for quite some time. And then we were stuck in the cornfields forever. Yep, we're just stuck in the cornfields forever. We were stuck in the cornfields forever. Time passes as you make your way through the fields. Sure you've been traveling for at least a couple of hours by now. Come to think of it, you don't seem to have your digital watch on. Even then, judging by the gradually darkening sky, time has definitely been getting on. Being stuck out here in some creepy cornfields at night sounds like a horror movie waiting to happen, so you'd really rather not deal with that if it can be avoided. You strain on your tiptoes to try to see over the tops of the stalks, but it's no use. Grain and gold stretch everywhere for miles around. Even if you could see some path, you wouldn't even be certain you'd want to try it if it meant risking ending up right back at that creepy house you'd come from. Unfortunately, due to the panic state you've been in, you've got absolutely no idea where you are. You'd been too busy just trying to get away from the house to take bearings. It's hard to judge a straight line when you're surrounded by identical stalks of corn on every side. The realization starts to dawn on you that you really are completely lost. Even so, you try not to panic. Panicking doesn't solve anything. You look around again, trying in vain to negotiate a path through the corn. Maybe if you... No, it's no use. The darkness is beginning to set in. You decide to pick a direction at random and start walking. Even if you can just find some way to the road, you'd much rather sleep there and hope that some late night freight driver spots you, then just lay down here. You're starting to regret watching all those previously unthreatening American horror films set on rolling green farmland. Visions of haunted scarecrows and Indian burial grounds flash through your mind. That kind of stuff is only in the movies, right? Okay, relax, time to keep walking. You're bound to find a road or something eventually, right? You take a guess as to which way you think is most likely to be the north, and continue your forage. Steady, just keep going and you'll find a path, right? Maybe nightfall won't be such a bad thing. You can try to spot that one star that sailors use to navigate, to help you find your way. Triumphant with this plan, you decide to sit down and allow yourself a rest, and then the cornfields took us, didn't it? I can't wait to become fertilizer for corn. The ground is surprisingly smooth and comfortable, even if it's damp and cold. You find a comfortable position leaning against some stalks and stretch out your legs. Okay, now don't fall asleep, and then we fall asleep. If you can stay awake long enough to see the stars come out, then maybe you can find your way. We really did fall asleep. Maybe you can finally get home. Home. Your eyelids start feeling heavier and heavier as you think about how grateful you'll be for everything when you finally make it out of here. Your parents' nagging will be a warm welcome home. Your little brother's dumb pranks would be playful and fun, and not all frightening compared to this hellhole. Man, even Katie and her female dog crew would be a sight for sore eyes right now. Filled with dreams of going back to school on Monday and actually looking forward to it for probably the first time in your life, you drift off to a peaceful sleep. Laying there in the stalks, you look like a character straight from some kind of children's book. The lazy farmhand napping on the job. Maybe tomorrow you'll wake up and this will all have just been a nasty dream. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe. You're woken by an ear-splitting metallic sound, singing in both ears, stabbing straight through your brain like a white-hot knife. Your eyes snap open straight away to try to figure out the source of the sound, but it's still too dark outside to see anything. There are no stars in the sky, no discernible moon. This feeling. This is like no migraine you've ever had before. Every second and more of the maddening sound pierces your brain. It's impossible to get used to it. God, what is that? Suddenly, you witness something small move just in the corner of your eye. We're getting gated, aren't we? You try to turn, to get a closer look, but find yourself rooted to the ground. You swivel the top half of your body around, determined to find the source of the noise and put a stop to this. When you try to push some of the corn stalks out of the way, you find your hand passes straight through them like a hologram. What? This can't be happening. You try again to push one of the stalks away and find that the same thing happens. The sound keeps getting stronger and stronger, and suddenly the corn stalks in the cold earth start to feel more and more flat and distant. It almost feels as though you're watching them through a screen. You try to turn to close your eyes, but it's no use. You're frozen in place like a video game character someone reset too quickly. There's nothing to do but sit motionless to watch the scene unfold and wait for the power to turn off. You can just make out a vaguely light-colored shape among the foliage. Is that a tennis shoe? It looks so familiar, but for some reason you can't quite put the pieces together in your mind. What's going on? Is that you? Are you a ghost? No, that's ridiculous. The more you watch the scene, though, the more you feel almost like an outside observer looking in. The metallic screeching has faded away now, replaced by cold, black silence. Only a moment ago, you swore you could hear the gentle rustle of the corn stalks in the cool night air. Strange. You try again to look around, but to no avail. You're so confused. You try to focus your eyes on the light shape in the midst of the foliage. Tennis shoe. Your tennis shoe? You can't really tell. When you try to focus in on any close detail of the scene, you can feel your eyes straining to make sense of it. Like the bedroom before, everything feels strange and sort of wrong? What's happening to you? It must be this place because your eyesight is perfectly fine normally. You desperately want to blink, but even your eyelids are frozen in place. You're encased in darkness like an insect preserved in amber. Insect. You can vaguely remember something about those. Insect. Robbie has some saved up in the jar. But who's Robbie? Jar. Nice word. Jar. Safe. You feel the blackness start to seep in. Is this what dying feels like? Is this your death? You don't feel cold anymore, and for a brief moment, a shard of fear cuts through you before being replaced with more of the same blackness. When you were a little kid, you always had an almost irrational fear of contracting hypothermia. You read this one big kid book about a girl who lay down in the freezer and froze to death. The book had described her feeling warm and hallucinating a comfy bed just before she died. The brain's way of tricking the body to maintain comfort even in the last moment. This had terrified you even to the point that for a while every time you felt comfortable and warm, you insisted your mother take your temperature to verify that you were not, in fact, about to freeze to death. Even several years later, although less than you'd like to admit, when you lie in bed at night, feeling warm always sends a little sharp shock through you. For just a moment, you're a child again and terrified that maybe this is all an hallucination. And in actuality, you're lying passed out on the floor of some huge industrial meat freezer. The warmth fades away now, replaced only by room temperature blackness that surrounds you from all sides. You aren't scared anymore, just very, very tired. You don't even think you can feel anything anymore. It's time to rest now. Time to rest. 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 Unfortunately, you died. Yay! You wake up somewhere soft and warm. A light surrounds you like viscous body temperature syrup, saturating your hair and clothes and touching all your skin, filling up every pore. It fills up your ears, your nose, your throat, your eyes, the gaps in your fingers, but you're not afraid. The only sound you can hear is a soft, slow pounding in both ears. Your heartbeat? It's incessant but not annoying. Rather, it helps you to keep track of the passing seconds. It's a strange but not uncomfortable sensation. You feel at ease. Is this what heaven feels like? Are you dead? Growing up, you had always pictured pretty much the standard fare, mass-produced idea of heaven. White fluffy clouds, dear old ladies in hospital gowns shuffling around arm in arm with smartly uniformed soldiers, husbands taken before their time now reunited with their sweethearts. Harp-toting angels with shining golden hair and flowing robes, singing forever. Infinite swirling spires reaching up beyond where the eye could see. Glowing golden palaces filled with tired souls, etc., etc. You always imagined it feeling strange and couldn't quite believe it could be real, but this place, somehow somehow it feels like home. But you can't stay here, not yet, not now. This isn't how it's supposed to end. You have a responsibility. Finding your way home? Not just for you, but for whoever had been looking out for you this whole time. Or whoever it is that wants you to come home safe out of this strange place. That's not me, by the way. I want her to die. A voice rings out in your head like a bell. You want to go back already? You swallow and nod. And in that case, take care. You feel the light closing around you as if though to embrace you. You can feel the love radiating from all around you, and you aren't scared anymore. I'll go back. Now to climb into the master bedroom window. The last thing you want to do is get lost in the middle of a creepy cornfield. Whatever is in here is weird enough, and you don't want to take your chances of running off into the middle of nowhere, or worse. No, your best bet is definitely to check out what seems to be the master bedroom and see if you can find some clues as to what exactly is going on and who exactly is even living here. Not to mention what the hell you're doing in a place like this in the first place. You carefully pick your steps across the roof of the porch over towards the open window. You take a quick peek through the half-open blinds just to check that the coast is clear, and then grab a hold of the wide window ledge and vault yourself up inside. In hindsight, this was a poorly thought out move, and you soon realize this when you crash straight through the open window onto the floor and smack onto your face. Yay. Oopsie. Whatever. You adjust yourself and try to look dignified, getting back up onto your feet. Ouch. It's hard to tell what hurts more between your face and your pride. You quickly stand up and decide to get to work. Okay, now, if I were a single middle-class eldritch horror, 100,000-something-year-old lady, where would I hide my top secret ultimate weapons? I'm gonna be honest, my answer to that is not safe for work, so, let's just say, you know, have you ever seen those commercials of, you know, there's a very specific demographic that there's this certain subset of commercials, you know, gun holsters for women. There's a very specific subset of women who this appeals to. And I have no idea why these are, you know, a thing, but just that's what I'm thinking about right now. It's just that, you know, sometimes you have commercials about gun holsters and women, and they place it in there. Yeah. I think if I were a single middle-class eldritch horror, 100,000-something-year-old lady, I'm gonna be honest, it'd probably be there. You know, just in that way, I can't say that. Hey, no, don't say that. Okay, so you're not likely to find any of those, but you can dream. You hear a strange clattering coming from an air vent grate, but there's no obvious way to climb up, so you don't really have a way to check it out. Probably a mouse, you think. Any monster small enough to scuttle around in an air vent is not going to be that big of a threat, so you pay it no mind and get back to your plan. What if it's a head crab? Let's start with a closet. Everyone keeps WMD there, right? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Woman-man dating sim? I don't know. You rifle through an array of tastefully coordinated garments in neutral tone, size, amorphous demon. Besides the worrying ratio of armholes to garments, nothing seems particularly interesting here. Better check someplace else. How about the bedside cabinet? You hadn't noticed before, but there's a small wooden cabinet on either side of the wide double bed, similar to the nightstand in your own room. One of them has a coaster on it and a couple of pill bottles, so you guess that anything important would be housed inside. You open the drawer and are appalled to find a stack of Polaroids of a masculine-looking winged demon creature in flirty poses on a beach. One of them has, "I'll visit you in your dreams tonight, baby," scrawled on it in English next to a series of weird symbols in a language you've never seen. Ugh, what a freak. Being attracted to that? Hey, don't judge. We don't kink shame here. You don't even know if you want to know what is in the rest of these drawers. Then again, come to think of it, you have no idea what this mama actually looks like. For all you know, she could be an identical behemoth sea beast. Maybe a little smaller with some lipstick smeared on her tentacles. Kind of discriminating against eldritch horrors here. What a beauty queen. Ugh. You shiver and just try to stop imagining the two of them bumping tentacles. Gross. You carry on rummaging through the drawers, find some toiletries and other uninteresting items until a strange metallic screeching sound fizzing from the center of the room startles you. Huh? You could have sworn that you were totally alone in this room, but you aren't so sure now. Overwhelming scent of metal fills your nose. You can hear whistling raspy breaths from somewhere behind you, accompanied by a low mechanical screeching sound. Wait, what? Maybe coming into the proverbial belly of the beast wasn't such a bright idea after all. Only information you were able to glean that whoever Mama is, if it's even a who, it clearly has very peculiar taste in men. I'm gonna be honest. I think Casey's being a little mean here. I wouldn't discriminate against monster girls. Why is she discriminating against monster girls? Your thoughts are interrupted by a flash of white light, catching you off guard and briefly blinding you. You turn around, rubbing your eyes, only to come face to face with a grand-looking wooden door surrounded by a writhing, white-hot mass. It looks like a fairly ordinary door at first before you notice that the wood is covered with fine veins throbbing ever so slightly. It's alive? A door? You remember the note in your pocket and quickly pull it out. Go through the door and we can go home. That's it. You refuse to be put off by the apparently organic flesh wood and reach out for the handle, but are knocked away as the radiant mass whirls around to face you. Flash. For an instant, time seems to stop. The creature's face is indescribable. I don't know, man. I think I can describe that. Is a writhing mass of flesh that kind of resembles an eye in the middle of multiple tentacles of varying lengths and thickness. As some kind of weird aura of spookiness radiates around it, and there's childish looking arms spreading outward underneath it as if to worship it. At first, it looks sort of like a person, only with smooth, flat skin above the nose where the eyes should be, and a sort of pronounced snout. As you look on in horror, though, the top part of the jaw hinges and folds back over the face. The movement reveals a mouth almost like a lamprey, but with human-looking teeth instead of sharp fangs. You know, part of me actually kind of wants to try what lamprey tastes like. I don't know. I think I just have eccentric taste. Some people say it tastes good, though. Never know. The creature seems to almost smile, its pale flesh contorting the round maw into a sinister oblong grin. The jaw continues straight into rounded human-like shoulders, without any visible trace of a neck, and a quivering, blubbery mass of pale white flesh below. Now I'm starting to realize that the image that we are shown has nothing to do with this. The fat, fleshy body becomes slightly narrower further down, with a defined sternum jutting through the thin skin and more bones protruding from various places. Along each corpulent side, there are several undeveloped limbs and fleshy stumps, giving it an overall almost centipede-like appearance, as well as the 3 or 4 thick muscular appendages you can guess to be its main mode of transport. The creature's whole body shimmers with a blinding white light that seems to be coming directly from its greasy skin. The light flashes again and again. You struggle to keep your eyes open even though it burns before it eventually can resist no longer, and you crumple to the floor at the creature's stunted feet. Raw nerves in your face fizzle and snap. A searing, prickling heat envelops you. It feels like every cell of your being is burning and alive, and then nothing at all. You try desperately to keep thinking. If you can't think, then you're real. Keep thinking. Eventually, it's no use. Your consciousness fades to black. Unfortunately, you died. Yay. This is how I explore branches. I usually go backwards. Like I go down one route and then I go backwards. Because it opens up choices first. You decide that you have had more than enough of heights for one day, and that the best course of action is to investigate the rectangular window a little farther up the roof. If there's some type of power supply for the building, maybe you can figure out some way to disable it, or at least temporarily shut it off in the hopes that it puts a stop to some of the weirdness. Everything has to obtain power from somewhere, right? After all, this is a house. What better place to start looking than the attic? You try to ignore the nagging doubt in the back of your mind that nothing in this place makes sense, and that you're being naive to assume that anything about here is logical, and press on up the roof. You begin to scale the slanted surface, pressing your palms firmly against the tile and finding your footing before taking the next step upwards towards the window. When you begin to get close to your destination, you can even smell the heat emanating from the cracked open window. Now hold on a moment, I'm still thinking about that last ending. So you know that the giant mass of writhing tentacles, it kind of just shuffles around. But like in the cornfield ending, there were like clear footsteps and stuff from that door, from the house. So does that mean there's 2 entities roaming about going, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you? Who knows? There's a sort of fizzing sound as the hot steam comes in contact with the cool air. Intimidating though it is, you're at least reassured that your suspicions about the attic housing a boiler or some such thing are pretty much confirmed. You reach your hand around the bottom of the long, wide window and feel around until you find the handle. You grasp it firmly and pull it back until the window is wide open enough for you to slip inside. Oh, it's just a normal boiler. I thought there'd be, spooky things in there. You sit on the edge of the window and dangle your legs inside, noticing the pleasantly warm air around your ankles already, before pushing off and falling the short drop into the window to land, sprawled awkwardly on the attic floor. As soon as you're inside, a thick heat hits you hard smack in the throat. Or his throat. The air is almost suffocating, thick and chokingly wet. You look around the room, though you can barely see through the mist of steam and the salty sweat that's already started to run down your eyelids and into your eyes. You can make out a large black shape in the corner of the room, the boiler, you guess. There are a number of heavy metallic pipes infesting the floor and walls. I don't think that's really well depicted, but whatever. Standard fluffy clouds of yellow insulation foam flank the room. It looks like a fairly standard attic, you think, even if the mind-melting heat makes thinking somewhat difficult in here. You get up from your awkwardly seated position on the floor and unintentionally press your hand against the slanted wall on the inside of the roof. It feels slick and hot and so unnatural and disgusting that you immediately yank your hand away in disgust. It's like the hot, greasy inside of some horrible creature's belly. Ugh. You shudder. What kind of person would live in a place like this? Someone who really is really into being swallowed whole by something. I'm sure there's people out there. And I wish there wasn't. You don't even know if you want to find out. Taking a deep breath to steady yourself, you continue making your way towards the hissing boiler at the end of the room. Huh? A faint white rectangle on the ground catches your eye. It looks like another note. You bend to pick it up and squint to make out the scrawled text. Whoever left the note in the bedroom must have written this one too, you think. It's written in the same somehow familiar sloping cursive. Is it our own handwriting? There are several similar scraps of paper on the floor around your feet, so you decide to sit down and scoop them up to check them out. You need to trick it to kill it. You'll be scared she'll smell it. She won't come up here anymore. It doesn't like hot meals. It's too late for us this time, but don't be scared. All we have to do is turn her around. If we turn her around, then we can go home. Next time you'll... The writing is too smudged by a steam pass here for you to make out the next few lines. What does it all mean? It means we're stuck in a loop. Who even wrote this? It seems like the more you learn, the less this messed up dream makes sense. You pocket the notes and stand back up, ignoring the growing fear manifesting in the bottom of your tummy and deciding you'd better press on. Something doesn't feel right, something doesn't feel right, something doesn't... Deep breath. Just keep going towards the furnace, you're almost there. You encourage yourself to press it on as best as you can. Wait a second, furnace? Now that you think about it, the hissing, sizzling machine in front of you is unlike any household boiler you've ever seen. Kind of reminds me of the world we go into when we die. It's just something about that steam, man. It's just something about that steam. But what gave you the idea that it was a furnace? Doesn't matter now anyway, just gotta get to it. Just gotta keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Come on, then that's it. You can do it, you can do it. You keep going, keep going. You continue towards the machine. It's getting too hot to think, and it's all you can do to will yourself on. Come on, just a couple more meters, just a few more steps, more steps. More steps, more steps, that's it. More steps, more steps, more steps. More steps. Eventually, the blistering heat becomes too much and you're forced to close your searing eyes before stumbling forward. And then we died, because we fed ourselves to the machine, didn't we? More steps, more steps, more steps. All I can think about now is getting away from this heat. Every nerve in your body is screaming for relief. You can feel the rubber soles of your tennis shoes soften like Play-Doh and begin to melt onto the floor. I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do, I have to go home. I have to get home. I have to do this, have to get home. One more step. You can almost reach out and touch the searing blackness of the machine. Just a second, wait, just a second. Oh, there we are. Just a second. Just a second. Just. Ooh. A moment too early, the heat becomes too much for you. Almost as though it had been planned this way from the start. Hilarious from the heat, you drift out of consciousness. Heat exhaustion is terrible. I hate it when that happens to me. Your sweat-drenched, blistered body falls to the floor with a wet thump. The boiler almost seemed to taunt you, allowing you a moment of respite here and there before letting out a bellow of boiling steam, each hotter and more excruciating than the last. Just a few seconds and you would have made it. As your body lies there against the hot, swollen floorboards, clothes sticking to your skin, the last shards of consciousness melt away. The boiler lets out a satisfying and noticing its work is done, allows the temperature dial inside to click, 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 back to a pleasant, balmy warmth. The metal relaxes with a thunk and slowly moves back into place, ready to lure the next hopeful victim to a sweltering death. Unfortunately, you died. I'm dead. How terrible. Check out the airing closet. You decide that investigating the ventilation tube in the airing closet is probably a great deal safer than leaping out the window or sitting here waiting like a fish in a barrel. You head on over and open the closet to take a look at the vent tube. It looks like a tight fit, but still wide enough to squeeze inside. You tap the side and hear a long echo, so it probably continues on for a while, long enough, hopefully, to buy you some time to escape. It looks and feels pretty much like a normal vent tube, so you're hoping it won't turn out to be some sort of ventilation tube mimic monster that swallows you whole. Cool. You push the thought out of your mind. You've made your choice, time to get a move on before you chicken out. Climbing up the closet shelves is easier than you expected, and you're soon at the top of the cupboard, ready to get inside. You tug at the grate, protecting the front end of the vent shaft, and find it pulls away surprisingly easily. All you have to do now is grab the end and pull yourself up inside. The metal feels cool on your palms. It's kind of a tight squeeze, but you can fit inside no problem. Inside is pitch black, but once you turn the corner, you can see a faint glow reflected on the metal ceiling of the vent shining in from a grate below. When you get closer, you figure that this grate must be above the hall. It's so close to the bedroom, it couldn't really be another room, could it? For the little amount that you can actually see of the room, through the grate, it looks long and narrow and has a threadbare beige carpet. If you wanted to exit the vent here, you'd have to remove the grate with your hands from inside and crawl past it and retreat down it legs first so that you could jump down. It doesn't look like much of a drop, but you're pretty clumsy and you don't really want to risk breaking an ankle at a time like this. Plus, if that bedroom was weird enough, at least this vent shaft felt pretty standard fare. Who knows what sorts of horrors could be awaiting you in this room. Not to mention that whoever the mom in the note is, she doesn't sound like the sort of person you're exactly eager to meet. From here, you can also see a larger grate that looks like it drops down into some kind of bedroom or study. Staying hidden inside the ventilation system or crawling further down sounded like a pretty safe plan, but then again, how are you supposed to somehow find a way cooped up in here? As far as you can tell, the only thing inside this vent is you, and then it won't be in a moment. You can't imagine you'll get very far in terms of getting yourself home by lying here waiting. If you can exit the vent system and go into the hall, maybe you'll be in with some chance of making some progress on your quest to make it home. Is it worth the risk? Nothing is worth the risk, nothing is worth the risk, nothing is worth the risk. Yay, references! You don't much like the idea of living out the rest of your life alone in a vent before eventually becoming a shriveled up skeleton. You'd probably die of boredom before old age. On the other hand, boring might not be such a bad idea compared to whatever could be lurking down in the hall. A demonic wall hanging, a haunted chest. Who knows? Evil versions of the entire cast of could be hanging out in there. just waiting for some tasty morsel like you to drop down. You decide to stay. I feel like I'm looking at that one brick game where you break bricks, where you just bounce ball around. I feel like I'm looking at the background for that. You decide that for now you'll wait it out. At least you know that you're almost certainly alone in the vent, and you don't really want to take a gamble on being that mama person. No, keeping yourself hidden up here is surely the smart choice. You crawl forward a little to get a good view down the second grate, but unfortunately because of the angle of the slats, you can't really see much through. Not only that, but since you crawled along to take a peek, you pretty much have to keep moving forwards due to the slope of the metal and your limited range of movement. You shrug and decide to keep moving. Maybe you'll come to another grate or a wider area of the vent where you can turn yourself around. Or at the very least a flatter and less sloping part of the vent where you can comfortably take a nap. You continue pressing your hands on the metal and sort of pushing yourself through the vent somewhat ungracefully in the manner that you imagine a long, fat lizard would use to get around. You start to notice that lying on your stomach in this position is really getting pretty uncomfortable, and it encourages you to get moving in hopes of finding a more comfortable area of vent to lie down and give your elbows some respite. As you keep wriggling forwards on through the ventilation, you become more and more sure that's not just your imagination though. Well, you see, if there's a ventilation system in there, there's probably a reason for the ventilation system to be in there, and I guess we're just gonna find out what it's for now. The tube really is getting smaller and more cramped the further along you crawl. You've never really been claustrophobic before, but suddenly the idea of being afraid of tight spaces made all too much sense. You try to ignore the growing tightening in your chest and turn your thoughts to wide open grassy fields and spacious gym halls. You're really starting to regret choosing to come in this direction. It's getting far too squashed for comfort. If you keep going this way, you're pretty sure that soon you won't be able to fit at all. You try vainly to bend your legs back and stretch out your arms in front of you, attempting to push yourself backwards up the metal slope towards the direction you came from, but it's no use. You can't get enough grip of your legs to pull yourself back up the slope. At the same time, the polished metal seems to magically become all slippery, forcing you forwards in the direction of gravity's pull. You know what this is? It's esophagus. That's what it is, isn't it? It's the house's esophagus. The tunnel feels tighter and tighter. You can feel both of your forearms pressed up against your chest. Just as you're sure you couldn't possibly fit any further inside the vent tube, sunk. A panel of the floor underneath you gives way, tipping you head first down straight into a tight metal chute. You free fall for a moment before your shoulders break your fall as the chute becomes too tight for them, cramming you upside down, jammed halfway along the chute. You have a horrible moment of realization that there's little to no chance of you being able to get out of this position anytime soon. Or late, for that matter. You begin frantically banging on the chute walls, screaming for help and desperately trying to push yourself back up the chute, willing your body just this once to defy gravity in the name of self-preservation, but it's no good. Help! Help me! Anybody? Somebody, please help me! Help! It's no good. Only answers to your cries for help are echoes of your own screams bouncing along the pipes. Before long, being suspended in this posture starts to take an effect on you. You feel the pressure build up in your throat and you begin to feel very lightheaded. God, if only there was a way to just go back in time and not go down the stupid chute. If only... Your thoughts are cut short by the sudden onset of a strange, dizzy feeling, and your eyes flutter closed. Defeated, you let out a long sigh and wait for time to pass as the cold blackness sets in. Unfortunately, you died. Hallway time. Something about the cold infinite seeming vent shaft ahead of you gives you a bad feeling. I can't imagine why. You decide that you can't risk missing your chance to explore the house more and trying to find some clues. You would never make it home if you just lie there in the vent shaft indefinitely doing nothing. You wriggle forwards and unlatch the clasp, holding the grate on the vent, being careful not to accidentally let the grate drop down and foil your stealth mode plan. Once you remove the grate, you pull yourself forwards until your feet are just before the grate hole, and then, carefully gripping the edge of the hole, start to lower yourself feet first through the gap down the hole. Alright. You hit the floor smoothly with a soft thud, bending your knees like a true practice tree climber so as to not hurt your ankles. The first thing you notice is that the carpet has the same odd, warm, slightly greasy feel as the bedroom before, almost as though it's some creature's dirty skin. Gross! As much as you want to avoid exploring what you are sure are going to be even more disgusting things, you'll never get out of here if you just stand around poking and prodding pieces of furniture. You quickly scan the hall just in case of some undesirable company, but find yourself relieved that you seem to be alone. The hall is fairly wide and short with a couple of doors on one side. One of them, of course, being the bedroom that you came from. Another one has a cute, kitschy wooden sign with a little smiling cartoon toilet on it. You use your stellar detective skills to deduce that it's probably going to be a bathroom. The hall continues down some creaky carpeted stairs. You decide to quickly tiptoe down them and check out what's there, just to see all your options as a proper starting point. You then find that the stairs open out onto another smaller hallway with 3 doors. One of them stands out. It's larger and sturdier than the other doors in the house and made of darker wood. Could this be the front door? You try to handle but find it to be locked up tight. Better move on. Another one of the doors is open a crack, and from what you can see of the inside, it looks to be a kitchen. The last door is shut tight. You try jiggling the handle. To your surprise, it swings open a crack. You can't see much of what's inside since the room is in darkness. It looks like perhaps some sort of bedroom. The curtains must be shut. Through the cracked open door, you could swear that you can feel a strange warmth radiating from inside the room. Strange. Must be your imagination. Regardless, you should get moving. You decide to go into the kitchen. You decide to take a look at the kitchen first. Even if there's nothing of interest in there, at the very least, it can't hurt to pick up a knife just in case of an emergency. You pad through the hall as quickly and quietly as you can and push open the kitchen door. This is the most normal kitchen I've seen in a while. Actually, no. It doesn't even have any, ovens or microwaves. This is not a normal kitchen. There's nothing in here to cook. It's just a storage room, man. After the usual scoping out for bad guys procedure, you flip the light switch on. The kitchen looks pretty basic. Slate gray tiled floor, light wood cabinets with a matching slate worktop, off-white walls bearing all manner of shiny metal utensils hang on wooden racks. It looks almost unused, like a showroom, and being in here feels strangely calming compared to the other rooms. The whole room is very, very cold. You hadn't really noticed it when you first came in, but you're starting to feel just a little bit of a chill. You rub your palms together to warm up your fingers. You decide that your first priority should be to find a suitable weapon, strictly for self-defense, of course. You start with the leftmost drawer. You rummage through and find a variety of strange-looking and unfamiliar utensils, but nothing that looks feasible as a weapon. Certainly nothing that could hope to stand up against what psycho kidnappers brought you here in the first place. You continue looking through the drawers. Bizarrely, you find absolutely nothing that seems like a possible candidate. There are no knives, no prongs, not even a paltry rolling pin. Either someone has been really careful in baby-proofing this kitchen, or whoever brought you here had already guessed that you tried to arm yourself and had taken preventative measures in advance. Damn! You consider grabbing a spatula as a last-ditch attempt, but decide that your kidnappers would probably pity you and laugh if you showed up wielding that. I don't know about you, but spatulas are kind of dangerous if you use the back end of them and you start poking at people. If you hit them right in the gut in the right place, hard enough, you can deal blunt force trauma. Better just leave it. You give up searching for a weapon and decide to check out some of the other weapons. Whoops. And decide to check out some of the other items in here instead. At least, maybe you'll be able to find something that might help with your investigation. Something. Your eyes are drawn to the counter on the other side of the room. On it, sitting neatly atop a coaster, is a half-drunk glass of clear liquid water, most likely, and a folded napkin containing some slightly stale-looking crackers. It looks almost as though someone set out the food, knowing that you'd be here. Your stomach growls. No, come on. How stupid did they think you are? Do they really think you'd fall for a lame trick like this? I'm just gonna say yes. Then again, your reason, if anyone had wanted to poison you to death, or worse, they had already had plenty of opportunities to do this while you were out cold. There was no reason for someone to let you survive up until now if they really wanted to kill you. No, this person wants you alive. You consider whether you're really going to let your stomach talk you into potentially risking your survival for some gross stale crackers. Even if they aren't poisoned, you'd definitely not be eating any gourmet quality Michelin chef cuisine by the looks of things. Ugh. Even though you aren't a picky eater by any means, this is a new low. Well, even if you don't decide to eat the crackers, having a drink of water would surely perk you up. The thought of getting to drink a cold glass of fresh water makes you start to salivate. You're suddenly a lot more parched than you realize. Maybe you should resist. After all, the water could not really be water after all, or else it could be poisoned. Maybe you can rinse out the glass and fill it with fresh water from the tap? Nope, tough call. Your dreams are quickly crushed when you attempt to turn on the tap, only to find that the handle pops straight off in your hand. That was too good to be true, you suppose. Okay. You decide that you spent more than enough time here. Time to make a decision. I like how we have no choice. You either drink the water or you eat the crackers. You gotta drink it or you gotta eat it. No choice. Make a decision. We'll drink the water. Let's hope nobody's changing it with some weird, biological fluids. Do you remember the Survivor shows you used to watch with your dad? AKA, she's thinking about the alternatives to drinking this water, and it's, Bear Grylls, and she doesn't want to Bear Grylls. Hydration is key, if you remember correctly. Yeah, water is important. You have no real idea of how long you had been asleep up there. Your body will surely thank you for watering it a bit. You can deal with being hungry a little longer, and besides, those crackers look at least 200 years old. They're about as dry as a desert and shriveled up in a way you hadn't even realized crackers could be. Now, my suspicion is that this is going to lead to some, eldritch horror popping out of us or something, or we're trying to do eldritch horror. At least that's what I want to imagine will happen. Because that kind of stuff is always kind of interesting, where it's, body horror and not just, whoop, you died, congratulations. Reach for the glass and chug it straight down in several gulps. Immediately, you feel much better. You hadn't realized how dehydrated you had actually been, but almost at once you feel a new lease of vitality as the water flows in. Now, the reason I'm saying that might happen is because, Mama needs a new kid. At least that's a possibility here is what I'm saying. Much better. You take a deep, satisfied breath. Much better. Then worse. Much worse. It starts off as a small, barely noticeable fizzing sensation deep in your chest. Did you drink too quickly and give yourself heartburn or something? No, it's not that. It feels like you're drying out. You drink salt water. Even though you just took a drink right now, you feel even more dehydrated than you had a few minutes ago. Your throat feels like it's swelling up and becoming rough like coarse wood. It gets harder and harder to swallow. You feel like you're trying to breathe through a straw. It's like having a throat infection, only much worse. Much worse. You feel a drool run down your chin and wipe at it with your sleeve, but it keeps coming at almost an alarming rate. It's as if the water is being pushed right out of you. Your sleeve is saturated with drool, but it keeps flowing. You try to purse your lips and try to not lose any more water, but the dry, now scaly skin on your face cracks from the effort and you cry out in pain. Your nostrils feel like they're burning inside each time you breathe in, like that one time your little brother dared you to stick jalapeno slices up your nose. Your eyes feel parched and painful. You strain to close them, but your unlubricated eyelid skin scrapes painfully against the surface of your eyeball. Huh? You curse yourself. Did you really just fall for possibly the oldest murder mystery trick in the book? For a stupid drink of water, damn it! Water. You're starting to feel tired and lightheaded. You have to find some water. You have to. You stagger over to the fridge and feel inside desperately for some water. Something you can derive water from. Anything. Anything? Anything. Even a jar of pickles and vinegar sounded heavenly right now. You slam the fridge door shut and frantically pull open every cupboard, scooping your hand inside and dumping the contents on the floor haphazardly in vain hope of finding something to drink. The burning in your chest is growing stronger and stronger. You grab the glass from before and hold it under your chin, hoping disgustingly to at least collect a reservoir of drool to drink if nothing else. When you hold the glass up to your lips though, you find that you can't even get your parched throat to swallow. God damn it, you felt like this time you were so close. The room has seemed cold before, but now the only thing you can feel is a dry, maddening heat spreading from the center of your torso through your entire body. The slow, daunting realization that this is it, this is really it, starts to compute in your adult, dehydrated brain. You try not to panic. Panicking doesn't solve anything. 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 Panicking doesn't. You go weakly at nothing. The air feels boiling hot and stings the back of her paper dry throat. The room feels more and more far away now, almost dreamlike through the pain. You try to think of swimming as you watch everything grow dark. Unfortunately, you died! Yay! I could go for cookies crackers. I could go for crackers right now. You decide to give in to your ravenous appetite and reach for the small pile of dry crackers sitting in front of you. Drinking that suspicious water just seems far too risky. Besides, maybe you'll have better luck getting that tap working later. You have no idea how long you've even been sleeping up there. Surely having a bite to eat will ground you a little and help you to make sense of things. You pick up one of the crackers and take a bite. Despite appearances, it tastes not at all stale with a delicious complex flavor you find too difficult to describe. You swallow it after just a couple of bites and greedily wolf down the rest, picking up the napkin and licking up the crumbs in an uncharacteristic display of poor table manners. God, that feels better. 4 or 5 crackers, while they were exceptionally tasty, definitely does not amount to a substantial meal. Nevertheless, you somehow feel peacefully full up already as though you've had a full 3-course dinner. Content, you take a seat on the counter and pat your tummy. You yawn. Wow, that food was really good. You're even starting to get sleepy. No, wasn't fall asleep. Wasn't fall asleep. Wasn't fall. Before long, your eyes flutter closed against your will and you slump down on the counter tucked in the fetal position. You don't want to close your eyes. Don't want to fall asleep for a minute. If this kitchen has clues in it, then you don't want to miss a thing. Whoops. Too late. As you lay there on the counter snoring softly, full and happy, you're blissfully unaware of the changes taking place in your body. Curled up there, you don't notice your body gradually shrinking. you're becoming smaller and flatter. Oh no, we're becoming a biscuit or cookie or a cracker, like words. Your arms and legs start to merge to your body, making you into sort of a flattened ball. Your skin begins to take on a golden hue and gains an odd flaky texture. Yep. I kind of predicted something bad like this would happen. I like body horror though, so yay! By the time the transformation is finished, you've shrunk to palm size and flattened out into a thin, golden brown disc. At this point, all your features have melted away, replaced by delicious, salty, sweet coating. Your clothes flatten out and turn white and papery, wrapped loosely around your body almost like a napkin. Strange. If only you'd been patient enough to take a look around for the packaging of the crackers before you ate them, and maybe you would have realized that it was a bad idea. In the small cabinet above the cooker, there's a little red and yellow box labeled Biscuit Spells. You are what you eat. 10 years running, voted the underworld's favorite snack. People are into this happening to them. The secret ingredient is you! Unfortunately, you died. Man, come on! This is my favorite ending already. Beautiful. To turn to kitchens or death traps, go into the bathroom. The bathroom is very small and brightly lit. As soon as you enter, you are overwhelmed by the horrible sensation of being watched by great many pairs of eyes. You soon realize that the source of your discomfort on all 3 sides of the room other than the door. The walls are covered floor to ceiling by huge mirrors. The mirrors are polished perfectly clean, and each reflects an image of the others, which reflects an image of the others, reflecting the others, and so on, which gives an illusion that the room is an infinitely large space. There's actually an art exhibit at the Broad, which is a contemporary art museum in LA, that uses this idea of creating an infinitely large space using mirrors. It's called Yayoi Kusama's Infinity Mirrored Room. There's 2 of them, where one of them requires ticketed admission. I haven't gone though, because I'm pretty lazy. And basically one step away from being a shut-in, but it sounds pretty interesting. There's a reflection of you from the front in the first mirror, and the walls on each side display profile views. The mirrors reflect one another so that the whole room is filled up with you, with copies of you. Of a copy of a copy of a copy. You can't really see anything of interest in here, but so you turn on your heel and reach for the door handle, but when you turn, you find yourself face to face with yourself. It's not a mirror. You could have sworn that you came in from this direction, but it looks like you made a mistake. Wait, what? You spin around, but you seem to be just surrounded by mirrors on all sides. God, what a cliche! What, is that kind of cursed house where the bathroom transforms into a hall of mirrors? Lame as hell! What kind of tropey thing is this? Yeah, ridiculous. This has gotta be a trick. Okay, if I push those mirrors, one of them will come away, and then I can push it back to reveal the door, right? Telling yourself that it sounds plausible, you turn back to face what you think is the way you came in, and give the mirror a hearty shove. The glass does come away under your palms, though it doesn't reveal a shy hidden door like you thought. Rather, the glass swings back straight into a wide, empty pit. You try to press your hands against the opposite wall to break your fall, but unfortunately the gap between you and the opposite side of the pit is just too wide, and you belly flop down a deep, dark chute, losing a shoe in the process as it is caught on the edge of the pit and is left behind. You hit the ground with a soft thunk, strangely unscathed despite your apparent several stories drop. Ow. You sit up and try to look around, but it's almost too black to see a thing. You can make out a faint reflection of yourself in the wall opposite you. Great. More mirrors. You snort to her in the darkness. The reflection ignores you and sits there staring blankly back at you. What? At least if you're stuck in a hole, you might as well try to find some form of entertainment. The mirror, you just sit with the same vacant expression, again neglecting to respond. What's your problem, dumbass? You playfully give the mirror a whack, starting to get more into enjoying your pretend game. Just then you hear a snarling voice that seems to come right beside you. It's yours! Huh? Are you going crazy, or did that mirror just respond to you? It didn't sound too happy either, come to think of it. When you look back up at the reflection's face, it has moved. Maybe it's just your imagination, but it seems like the mirror you has shifted position and is looking down at you confidently with its chest puffed out. Yeah, what's your problem, dumbass? Okay, that was definitely not in your imagination. What? Mirrors can't talk. As if to answer you, the mirror lets out a cackle. You watch in horror as the mirror you from one wall walks over to the reflections to the opposite wall's mirror. Mirror you there, which has been sitting perfectly mimicking you up until this moment, grinned from ear to ear, revealing row after row of sharp, pointed teeth. Yeah, dumbass, what is it? The twin mirror yous sneer in unison and walk around opposite sides of you via the back wall mirror to the mirror in front of you. The you in that mirror seems to be a perfect copy of yourself with no autonomous demonic behavior, so at first you're confused as to what they're intending to do in there. However, you quickly realize that mirror looks like it has a genuine reflection of your image. The mirror demons stand menacingly on either side of your reflection. Before almost in sync, each wraps a pair of long, fingered hands around your reflection's neck. You felt your neck suddenly begin to tighten, as though someone was squeezing it really hard. And you realized that somehow, whatever the two mirror demons appeared to be doing to your reflection happens to the real you. One demon continues to choke the reflection, and the other pokes and prods at it, tauntingly with sharp claws. Stop! You splutter. If you kill me, you'll die too, right? You're just reflections. In response, the two demons laugh maniacally. One of them pulls a comically large frying pan out of nowhere and, still cackling maniacally, raises it above your reflection's head and brings it down with a crash. You must have blacked out, because the last thing you can remember after that is waking up with one of the two eerily similar copies staring down at you, prodding you and tormenting you with insults. This time, however, they're standing right before you in the flesh, rather than reflected in the mirror. Do get sucked into the mirror. What? You managed to stutter your confusion aloud. The copy just grins and taps the mirror in front of you, motioning for you to look. You don't seem to have a reflection. In the mirror, you can see the other copy who had previously been bullying you. She gives a wide, toothy grin, all normal human teeth this time, mind, and waves before pressing her palms against a secret door in the wall that calls a small lift. She cheerfully waves goodbye to the twin before hopping into the lift and ascending, and you realize what's actually going on. No, wait, that's not right. You're me. That's my body. Come back. You start frantically pleading and banging on the glass in front of you with both hands. The other copy just giggles as it watches you suffer. You notice that the nails on both your hands have grown into long, gnarled claws. When you further examine your hands and arms, you can see that they've become a pale, gaunt version of their former selves. The other copy smiles wildly at you and motions for you to come. You get up and stand beside it and hands you a few items. A toothbrush, a rag, and some window cleaner. Better get to work, cousin, the demon girl sings merrily. It's gonna be a long damn time before another idiot falls out of the sky, so better get off that sweet ass of yours and get moving. Unfortunately, you died. Interesting. Bedroom. As you're drawing near, you notice that you can see inside the master bedroom's ventilation grate from where you are. You curiously paw at the grate to find that the slat can be pushed back, so you go ahead and look inside. Flash. What's that? Flash, flash. The white hot flashes of light continue intermittently, scalding your retinas. In between them you can see a strange scene. A set of clothes laid out on the floor, as though the person inside them had suddenly disappeared, and a strange wooden door that seemed to be floating on its own in the middle of the room. And then, that. Who was that? It was us! Flash. In the corner of your eye, you can see the figure of what looks to be a teenage girl. The figure seems to be dressed in an outfit the same as your own. Oh, weird. Just as you're about to look away, the figure steps forward. You almost missed it. Almost, but... Flash. For just a second, you look directly at yourself? Wait, no, who was that? You. Oh, not you, not you, not you. You. We're just having like an identity crisis now. Yep. It's you. Unfortunately, you died from existential crisis. Nice. My favorite way to go. It turns out that existential crisis is not good for Casey. She cannot handle it. Stay put for now. This room isn't so bad, you think? It's not that for now, the best course of action is probably to stay where you are and assess the situation. Whatever's out there waiting for you could be way worse, and personally, you want to take the chance to find out. Plus, spending a little more time in here might give you more time to look for some clues as to what exactly is going on and what you're doing here in the first place. This has to be some kind of crazy dream, right? Everything seems nearly normal, but not quite enough. Not enough to fool you into thinking that everything is perfectly normal and okay. You plop down on the bed and decide to take a closer look at the ceiling. It looks just like a normal ceiling, except distorted and ever so slightly swollen. In the middle, there are patchy brown nicotine stains for the people who used to live here. Like everything else in here, when you stare too hard, they start to shift uncomfortably from your gaze. It almost looks like it's throbbing very gently. You stand up on the bed and reach as high as you can to see if you can touch it and confirm your suspicions, but it's too high to reach. Even so, you can feel a strange heat emanating from it, just hitting the air around your fingertips. Huh? The room doesn't feel particularly warm, but when you lift your hand up near the ceiling, you can feel a definite heat in the air. What? You decide to leave that question unanswered for now, though, since you see no clearer way to find anything out more like this. You don't have time to waste wondering about strange ceilings anyway. Not at a time like this. Time to find some clues and get the hell out of here more than anything else. You decide to check out the desk more thoroughly and see if you can find some other notes or something, anything that might be able to help you form a planned escape. You head over to the desk. You already pocketed a note from before, but maybe there's something else? You shuffle through the objects on the desk, finding pens, a pencil sharpener, a small pad of post-it notes, and absolutely nothing of interest. Figures. Whoever left that note probably didn't have much time to write any other helpful tidbits, judging by the way the message seemed to get cut off. Whatever. Time to check out something else. Wait. You notice a tiny bright yellow corner peeking out from under the desk. It's the same lurid shade of yellow as the post-its on the desk, you realize excitedly. Alright. You go to pull it out from underneath and try to read the message, but to your dismay, the text you find makes little to no sense at all. 200 milliliters water, 1 sweater, 2 shoes. Huh? A shopping list? No, that can't be right. The way it's laid out, it looks more like a recipe than a shopping list. Oh no! Are we making Casey's? A recipe for what? What kind of procedure? Involves what looks like a simple outfit and water. Laundry? You're just lucky it's written in English at all, you suppose. Any information that could help you get out of here can only be a good thing. You stuff the note into your back pocket and continue your search. You decide to have a good rifle through the bookshelf and head towards the opposite corner of the room, when suddenly you are surprised by a loud drawing clang, followed by a slow, soft hissing. You spin on the spot to try to discern the source of the noise, but can't see any immediate suspect. Hiss. The sound continues, almost soft enough to be inaudible. It sounds just like a smoke machine, leaking softly, except there's no smoke. What is that? You ignore the sound and carry on with your decision to search the bookshelf. You decide to start with the top shelf and you work your way down, searching for clues on each one. The hissing sound seems to have gone louder, but you try not to pay attention to it and focus on your task instead. You pull out a few thick novels and flip through the pages. Oh no, are they gonna be like hot, eldritch woman romance novels? Nope, they're just normal novels. You're hoping to find some mysterious hollowed-out tome with a key hidden inside like in the movies, but are only met with standard slightly yellowed pages of age-inappropriate crime thriller. In other words, yet again, absolutely nothing remotely helpful. Lame. You'll move on to the lower shelf and continue your search. You remember several cute trinket boxes in a wide array of carefully chosen pastel colors, but all you manage to find is a few tacky pieces of someone's grandma's costume jewelry and some assorted rhinestoned accessories. You scoop up as many as you can carry in one go and dump them all on the bed, or you can better check for any cursed amulets that might happen to be hiding. If cartoons taught you one thing, it's that it's always better to be safe than sorry when it comes to cursed amulets. What cartoon are you watching? You're just getting to the end of the first uneventful pile when you hear another heavy, metallic clunk, and then the hissing sound suddenly stops. You had forgotten all about it, but now that the room is completely silent again, it almost feels eerie. At least that noise finally stopped. You try to ease your mind and will yourself into carrying back on with the jewelry pile. Snap. Click. All at once, it's as if all the air is knocked out of your lungs. You stagger backwards. Oh, what? In an instant, the whole room seems to change. The light seems to have become dim and flickering, and your whole mind is filled up with an unnaturally calm sensation. You know that you should be alarmed by this sudden change, but even your forced, slow breaths of the thick, greasy air don't faze you. It's alright, Mama's coming. Mama's coming. Don't worry, dear. Mama's coming. You mustn't worry. Mama's coming. Mama. Why does that sound somehow familiar? Mama. Mama. Mama's coming. Mama's coming. Mama's here, Mama's here, Mama's here, Mama's here, Mama's... Have no fear, Mama's here. A strange, unearthly, sing-song tone plays out. It's filling your head, surrounding you with the voice. It feels wet and greasy, clinging to your skin. Intoxicating. Still, you're incapable of feeling the fear you know you should be feeling at this moment. The voice feels familiar and gentle as it constricts around your chest. It's impossible to panic. There. As if though you're sinking into the earth. You could fight it, but it would take more strength than you have left. After a few moments of frantically flailing your arms around, attempting to pull yourself out of the voice, you're exhausted. You imagine that this is what drowning feels like, except instead of floating in salt water, you're drowning in thick, wet cement. You take in thick gulps to try desperately to suck down some air, feeling your body grow heavier and heavier as it's filled with a warm, heavy sensation. Everything feels so warm. Without even realizing, you somehow make your way over to the bed. Each of your limbs feels like it's just sinking into the sheets. This is the most comfortable bed you've ever laid on. You're absolutely sure of it. You feel like you're melting. The sheets wrap tightly around your body. Mama's voice chimes soothingly in your head, lulling you to sleep. Good night, Mama. The last thing you see is a white, hot, shining light, so bright that it shines directly through your half-closed eyes, straight into your brain. Shh. Everything is okay. Unfortunately, you died. Go into the dark room. You decide to head for the dark room that you think might be the master bedroom. Something, somehow, inside, you know that this is the best choice. When you push open the door, you're hit with the strangest sensation of deja vu. You know you can't have been here before, right? No, that's crazy. Yet somehow you know what you have to do. The room is in darkness when you step inside. The thick curtains are drawn tight, letting only narrow strips of light shine in between. Weirdly, the bag in your hand feels heavier than before. Bag? It's sort of buzzing, very, very faintly. It feels as if it's reacting to something in the air. You sit down on the bed and close your eyes, waiting for it to come. The alarm clock on the nightstand beeps, announcing 12 a.m., rousing you from a dreamless sleep. Flash. Like clockwork, she comes. The creature's face is indescribable. She's somehow strangely familiar in a dozen ways at once. At first, it looks sort of like a person, only with smooth, flat skin above the nose where the eyes should be and a sort of pronounced snout. As you look on in her, the top part of its jaw unhinges and folds over the face to reveal a mouth almost like a lamprey, but with human-looking teeth instead of sharp fangs. The creature almost seems to smile, its pale flesh contorting the round maw into a sinister, oblong grin. The jaw continues straight into wide, rounded, human-like shoulders without any visible trace of a neck and a quivering, blubbery mass of pale white flesh below. The fat, fleshy body grows slightly narrower further down, with a defined sternum jutting through the thin skin and more bones protruding from various places. Along each corpulent side there are several underdeveloped limbs and fleshy stumps, giving it an overall almost centipede-like appearance. 3 or 4 thick muscular appendages you would guess to be its main mode of transport. The creature's whole body is bathed in a shimmering, almost blinding white light that seems to be coming directly from its greasy skin. Hot, putrid air that seems to emanate from its throat seems to congeal in the air around you and stings your eyes. A light flashes again and again, and you struggle to keep your eyes open even though it burns, but you refuse to fall. Flash. Flash with flash. Every cell of your being is burning and alive. Flash. You face the creature and suddenly know what you have to do. You have to trick her. The words echo in your head, though you're not sure from where. All we have to do is turn around. If we turn her around, then we can go home. Turn her around. Turn her around. You can't explain it, but somehow you just know. The creature lets out a strange metallic cry and stretches up to its full height, mouth pointed upwards towards the hanging light fixture in the middle of the room. It buys you just enough time to reach into your bag and grab the contents. 200 milliliters water, 1 jumper, 1 jeans, 2 shoes. Huh? Why does this recipe sound so familiar? The words pop into your head as if though someone pushed them right into your ear and into your brain. You have to use these? Well, how? You try to think of something you can make with these items. Fold them up like origami? No, you don't have time. Wear them? Dress up the monster? You rack your brains for an answer but find nothing. Do something. Do anything. Just do something. Flash. Okay, quick. You panic and lay the clothes out as if you were setting out an effort for the day ahead. But what about the water? The panic, you pour the water straight down the middle of the clothes. Try to get some on each garment. Okay, let's try not to panic. Panicking doesn't solve anything. Flash. In an instant, the creature flops down from its standing pose and back onto its stumpy lower legs, sending ripples through the wobbling meat of its abdomen. It moves its head slowly and carefully through the air. Judging by its apparent lack of eyes or other normal facial features found in humans or mammals, it's trying to sniff you out. The creature hesitates for a moment, and you quickly spring up onto your toes and find yourself against the wall. At first, it seems to have followed the sound, turning its head to face you, but you stand perfectly still and it becomes confused. It takes in another wheezy breath before turning back towards the clothes lying on the floor. If only it had a rock or something to throw in the other direction to divert the creature's attention. Damn, if only this was a video game instead of being your real life. Haha. Luckily, the creature seems to decide that the wet pile of clothes on the floor is you and turns fully to face it. Without even thinking about it, and before you even realize what you're doing, you've darted around to the creature's back. You reach forwards and grab the hot, fleshy hand of the door in the creature's back, pulling it open and throwing yourself through before you even have time to be scared. A flash of white light, and then nothing at all. Nothing at all. You roll over and burrow comfortably into the duvet, relishing the warm feeling of the Saturday morning sunlight on your face. You could swear that today your bed feels even more comfier than usual. It's the weekend. That means that for 2 whole blissful days there'll be no more Katie the female dog from hell and her gang, no more Mrs. Gordon, no more getting started with algebra, just 2 whole days of sweet freedom. School days are the best days of your life, right? Yeah, right, just snort. Anything is better than being stuck in that hellhole, fighting to stay awake with all the strength you have. Straining to even keep your eyes open. Staring at the clock hanging on the wall and feeling your brain slowly melt into mush. Tick, 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 tick. Guess I should really be thinking about getting up. You say it aloud to no one in particular, trying to will yourself out of the soft cocoon of bed and into the cruel spring air. After all, you have a busy day today. A busy day of Saturday morning TV, video games, and Chinese takeout. Wait, was that there earlier? Not forgetting, of course, packing your things for your sleepover with Beth tonight too. If only you didn't have to look after your little sister and her snotty friends first. Lame. Whatever the usual babysitting strategy would suffice, load them up on caffeine and sugar and barricade yourself upstairs in your bedroom to rack up your phone bill. When you finally flutter your eyes open, you're met with the same sight as you are every morning. White ceilings stained nicotine yellow from the people who lived here before. Lilac flowery curtains to match the duvet cover. A whole zoo of stuffed animals scattered around your soft bed. Even though you've seen it 100 times before, for some reason today feels extra special. It feels as though you finally come home after being gone a long time. Must be 'cause it's Saturday, you reason. When you finally go to get out of bed, you notice that you seem to have gone to bed fully dressed. I always thought that was kind of weird, but I thought it was just a sprite thing. Huh? Your parents never even let you wear shoes in this house, let alone in bed. Damn it, the bottom of your bed sheets are all muddy from your tennis shoes. You're probably going to be so mad. You decide that you better get changed before you go downstairs for breakfast. You'd rather not have to explain why you're fully dressed on Saturday at 9 a.m. in the morning. You take off your oddly muddy shoes and socks and hide them under a bag in the airing closet, and then grab a pajama set randomly for your drawer and button it up. I will transport the laundry to its rightful place in the vestibule later on when mom is at work to save yourself a lecture. When you pull off your jeans, you notice one of the pockets stuffed full of a bunch of scraps of paper. Oh, must be rubbish, you decide, and scoop them out to toss them into the paper bin under your desk. 200 milliliters water, 1 jumper, 1 jeans, 2 shoes. Yep, definitely garbage. When you finally finish changing and head out your bedroom door, your little brother accosts you on the landing and dumps a rubber snake down the back of your shirt. Ah! You scream out loud at the intrusion. Now, personally, I feel like I don't have siblings or anything, but I feel like if someone's bothering you like this, the best thing you can do is just not respond, because they really just want your response, and that's the real reason they do it. If you just didn't, respond at all, I'd rather be like, you're no fun. Although, alternatively, he could just keep escalating in order to provoke a reaction until eventually something bad happens, so, I don't know. Mama? Case, was that you? What's the matter, dear? A faint reply comes from downstairs. Never mind. Whatever. You can already smell the delicious scent of a Saturday morning cooked breakfast wafting up the stairs, and it makes it hard to stay angry. You start to head down the stairs with a peaceful smile, a ravenous. After all, you had a really, really bad night. The end. Well, we finally have Casey not stuck in the time loop in the underworld. I guess it'd be nice to get a little bit more of an explanation of how she ended up there, but sometimes stuff just happens and you end up in a horrible time loop. I guess that's just, something that just happens. I really like the art in this, although I feel like a couple of parts needed a little bit of proofreading. It's not too bad. It's not as bad as some of the other stuff I've read. They definitely need a proofreader. This was just a little couple minor mistakes here and there. I will still recommend. I recommend everybody, please proofread your words. Sometimes the writing went in a little too in-depth for explaining every little detail of a choice when I just really wanted to get to the result of the choice. But I might be biased because I had to read every single word. But yeah, that's a look at the gallery. Huh. I think those are like bonus illustrations, aren't they? So let's look at them one by one. Or... because I have to click on them one by one. This is cute. A great ending. I really do like how her eyes are green, which really contrasts with the red of the backgrounds and everything else. It's very nice. I don't remember what this was. Was this the... oh my god! Caseyception ending. This one was the first one where we just died for some unexplained reason. This one was a steam room. This was... what was this? I don't remember actually. Was this the one with the pipe? I feel like wait, no. This one was the one with the vent. I do not remember what this was. I really don't remember. And this is the good ending. Hey, it's such cat bear over there in the corner. We have concept sketches. Oops. Concept sketches. We have more. We have Casey even more emo than she already is. Oh my god. Her and her cell phone. I think it's very cute though. And it's interesting to see how the color palette actually changed over time. As well, her clothes. Cat girl, Casey. And we just have a wonderful cat girl, Casey to end this off on. Yep. That's pretty cool. Anyways, that's about it. I should probably have read this at the beginning. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.